Welcome to the Modise Network. On the show, the former Northwest Premier Supra Mahumapelo claims that a clique of Northwest-based politicians set up an elaborate ploy to oust him from his position. Later on, civil society activists Zaki Ahmed and Lebo Ramafoko speak about the challenges in the public transport system and the society's responsibility to curb gender-based violence. The judgment by the Gauteng High Court that the Northwest Provincial Executive Committee led by Supra Mahumapelo be reinstated has led to problems for the ANC ahead of the elections. The former Premier of the Northwest was removed from his position as provincial chairperson following widespread public protests. The government of Supra Mahumapelo was accused of corruption and his PEC of sowing divisions within his organization. With this decision by the court, the ANC may have to review its parliamentary lists, and the leader of the party, Cyril Ramaphosa, will have to find other means to forge unity, which he has been preaching since December 2017. The ANC says it's going to appeal the court's decision. So what is the Northwest PEC going to do next to assert its authority? The former Premier of the Northwest Province, Supra Mahumapelo, joins us, and a pleasure to have you with us, sir. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Tim, and let's also take this opportunity to greet the viewers.
Okay, and I'm taking the opportunity to invite the viewers to be part of our comments and conversation, and you can do so on social media. The hashtag is the Modise Network. Now, Dr. Mahumapelo, here you are. The courts say you must be reinstated. What happens to the provincial task team at this time?
Well, Bratim, one should start by saying that it was quite unfortunate for the African National Congress that we find ourselves in this situation, because in the first place, we shouldn't have been where we are. But I'm sure with the benefit of hindsight, as a movement, we will be able to learn from some of the mistakes that we made during the process, because I think had we listened better to one another from the beginning in 2018, we should have approached matters a bit differently. But as I say, we all learn from our mistakes. Well, the court was very clear in as far as the provincial task team's existence is concerned, which was a consequence of a decision of the National Executive Committee having dissolved last year in August the Provincial Executive Committee, which was elected in 2015. So the court was very clear to say that its existence ceases to be there. So what we need to do now as leadership is to say, how do we move forward to unite the organization, to ensure renewal of the African National Congress, and unite everybody behind the vision of the ANC so that we can win the elections in May.
Yeah, but now the ANC at the national level says it's going to appeal the decision of the court, the judgment of the court anyway, implying they do not agree with the courts. And that may be a legal matter, but in the spirit of things, it tells you that the ANC national says it does not agree, does not accept that the Provincial Executive Committee should come back.
Well, Tim, there's a meeting between ourselves as the Provincial Executive Committee and representatives of the National Executive Committee led by the Deputy Secretary General and the Secretary General on Sunday. So I wouldn't want to comment much on an appeal by the African National Congress. I thought the ANC may have said that an appeal is one of the options at the disposal of the African National Congress, because so far we haven't had a formal meeting of the officials. The officials are busy in Cape Town with State of the Nation address. There hasn't been a meeting of the National Working Committee or the National Executive Committee. Therefore, decisions can be made outside those three structures. So if the idea is being mooted for the African National Congress to appeal, it's well within the right of the leadership to do so. But where we are sitting, in the meeting, the proposal we'll make is that the route we need to take going forward is rather to focus on investing our energies, our time, on forging unity for the African National Congress.
Well, I suppose there are leaders of the ANC who would agree with you and say you are right. Demonstrate the fact that you support unity by stepping aside yourself, voluntarily stepping aside, accepting that your time is up and therefore you are not a necessary member of the leadership of the province, at least going forward. They would say, you know, that would demonstrate that you actually support the new unity theme that is being promoted by the current president.
Well, unity doesn't mean the absence of some of the cadres in the equation of politics. The absence of some of the cadres in the equation of politics may actually be the opposite of what we want to achieve, because in the ANC, everybody has to be on board. In the ANC, everybody has to participate. But it doesn't mean that you have to be in a particular position for you to do that. But responding directly to your question, Bratim, is that the term of office of the Provincial Executive Committee is 4 years. We were elected in 2015 between the 12th and the 15th of February. So our term is ending exactly next week. So there will be no need for anyone to make a request that you should be stepping aside and so on, because according to the constitution of the ANC, our term is ending. But what normally the ANC does, and I've seen that letter, is already issued by the Secretary General on behalf of the NEC. When there are regional conferences and provincial conferences coinciding with the national and provincial elections, like it's happening this year, the practice is that those conferences have to be put in abeyance until after the elections, because if you focus on conferences and elections at the same time, your focus is going to be diverted, and you will not be able to focus on the election. So that letter, I suppose, will apply to the rest of the provinces in the country, including the Northwest Province.
Now, there's this interesting phenomenon of the ANC that it is too internally focused on its own infighting, on its structures and its processes, to the extent that the eye is taken off the main story, which is to provide, especially where the ANC is government, to provide services to the people. And this could be said to be exactly the problem that you faced when you were Premier of the Northwest. In other words, people would say, you know, we've had enough of this, ANC, that. We would like the government, when it's in charge, it's put there by the people, to perform its tasks of delivering the services to the people that are paid for by the taxpayers, not necessarily by the structures of the ANC. In other words, people must take a priority.
Well, I agree, Tim, but we need to bring to the attention of the viewers that the African National Congress is a very dynamic organization. Actually, the more the ANC comes across challenges, the more it becomes stronger. Because in the course of the ANC dealing with the challenges, it develops and masters the art of managing those particular challenges, such that the ANC is forever repositioned in a way that will enable to do exactly what you are saying, to ensure that service delivery by government, both national, provincial and local sphere, service delivery to our people is indeed attended to. So there are structures within government that attend to service delivery on an ongoing basis. What the ANC does is the issue of mandate and accountability principle, where those who are deployed in government from time to time are called upon to come to the ANC to report on progress that they are making. But where the ANC might be unhappy about a particular cadre of the movement or the department or a municipality, it is well within the right of the ANC to say, team, come here, we have deployed you. We seem to be seeing something that is going amiss there. Can you report to the organization? So that there's convergence on understanding the context that may be informing particular developments within government, but also to make sure that there is synergy from a communication and branding perspective, that the messages that are communicated by both the African National Congress and cadres deployed in government, the synergy and commonality in the message.
Now, in your personal situation, the manner in which you were removed as the Premier of the Northwest, I'd like to hear your sentiments regarding that and the speed with which the PEC that you chair was pushed aside and a provincial task team put in place. What is your view of the way the same organization that you're talking about dealt with you as Premier, firstly, and dealt with the PEC, secondly?
Well, later during the year, I will release a book that will detail some of the things that happened around the so-called community protests in Mahikeng. But I was not pushed out, Tim. I voluntarily decided that I should exit and take an early retirement as Premier of the Northwest Province. And the reasons were three. The first reason was that there were many people who were very personal and raising unconfirmed matters about the office I was in charge of, in as far as I was discharging my responsibilities concerned. And I knew that they were not telling the truth. So I took a decision to challenge those particular comrades who were raising those particular issues legally. Now, if I had proceeded to continue to be in the office and attend to those issues legally, I was going to be accused of abusing my presence in the office. Now, to safeguard the office, I then decided that I should move out. The second reason for me to have moved out was that the name of the ANC was being dragged in the mud interchangeably with my name. And because as cadres of the movement, we must always prioritize the interests of both the community and the ANC, I thought that it will be prudent for me not to look at my interest and be selfish, but rather look at the interest of the ANC and the community and then exit from the position. The third reason was that the standing of the office of the Premier in terms of the Constitution of the Republic has to be protected at all times. So when you take an oath, one of the decisions you commit yourself to is that you will protect the standing and the image of the office of the Premier. And I thought that the environment was such that it was going to be very difficult for me to execute that responsibility in the Constitution of defending the image and the standing of the office, because I would have been involved in having to attend to issues on a daily basis which were not about my mandate in the office. I decided to exit, and I informed the leadership of the ANC.
What is your view of precisely that oath of office from where you're sitting? To what extent did you discharge it, the oath, the way you say it is, protect, promote the standing of the office?
Well, I did that to the best of my ability. Nobody's perfect in life, Tim. I did that to the best of my ability. For instance, we developed a vision in the context of the National Development Plan in the province based on what we termed the 5 concretes. And we developed a vision around developing the economies of the villages, the townships, and the small dorpies. Now, part of that vision was after a realization that poverty, inequality, and unemployment is more pronounced and more acute in the villages, the townships, and the small dorpies in the province. That's why I then said as the Premier then that 70% of government spending, we must develop a policy that will ensure that 70% of government money goes to the villages, the townships, and small dorpies, because that's where poverty is highly pronounced. But we also said that the province for the last 24 years had been focusing on platinum.
Sure.
And when we look at what had accrued to our people over that 24 years of focus on platinum, it was almost close to zero.
Of course. I mean, we can pick up, I'll pick up this conversation in a moment. The D accounts, for instance, people will tell you that they don't know what happened to the royalties that were paid into that account by the mining companies. And we'll talk about other related matters. My guest is Supra Mahumapelo. He's the chairperson of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC in the Northwest. Don't go away. We'll be continuing this conversation.